Well, Tatum, welcome to the podcast. How's everything going?
Thank you for having me. Very exciting. Everything's going good.
You guys are off to like a great start this season. A lot of change in the offseason, but you guys are really hit the ground running. How does it feel to kind of have this good momentum so early on?
It feels really good. I feel like in past seasons, it has been a bit of a rough start always. And so this year, it's been really exciting to kind of, for the first couple games, like have this momentum and like be confident going into the early middle of the season.
Mhm.
So I think it's a good change. And I think everyone's really excited to just go into the next game and kind of prove ourselves and show what we've been doing.
What's different? You say like in years past, it hasn't always felt like this and it feels different. What is different?
Wow. Okay. So many things. I feel like this year we have new ownership, we have new coaching staff. The team is very different from what it has been. I feel like this year it's very young. We have a lot of new players. So I think the adjustments to all of those things, obviously new coaching staff, you go in just doing your best. You don't know like what they're looking for, kind of what the vibe is going to be of the year. So I think those changes have been good kind of opportunities for us to be challenged to mesh together early on. So I think that has helped us. Like it has been a lot of change, but I think it's been definitely for the better.
What is it like to have like the young energy on the field with you?
It's so interesting because I feel like people ask me that and I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm old energy. I feel like I like the new girls come in, I'm like, all right, first day, like let's go. Like it's kind of the same vibe, but it is nice. I feel like there's just so much more excitement because everyone's excited to be here. You're kind of living out your dream for the first time. So like having that kind of energy around is really exciting and kind of pushes everyone to be like, yeah, like this is like a dream come true. We should all be really happy and excited to be out here and motivated to like work hard with each other. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important. You're not old in this at all, right? You're in your fourth year in the league, right?
Yeah.
But
But
when
like
you
circumstantially for this team, yeah, like it is kind of old.
exactly, you have the like you're kind of straddling this like still learning and in your like the infancy of your professional career, but at the same time kind of a vet to this franchise. So I'm sure it's this
Yeah.
like balance. What have you taken from past seasons that you're like, oh, I didn't really realize that I learned that as and I can impart wisdom to these youngins.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is each year we've finished somewhere different on the table. So the first year we were playing in a final, second year pushing for playoffs, kind of mid-table. Last year obviously didn't make playoffs. So I think I have a really good perspective on just management of the season, kind of at this point, like where we need to be at what point, how to manage your bodies and just kind of help the younger kids because it is a lot different. Like right now, you just come here, you play soccer, and then you go home and you have to take care of your body. It's not like you have to go to class or like do 100 other things. So like you do have that freedom. So it is important to be kind of strict with yourself, which is something I've learned throughout the years, kind of depending on where you want to be at the end of the year. It's what are you going to give
Mm.
throughout the year? So I think that is a perspective I'm really happy to have at this point to kind of guide myself and guide anyone else who kind of needs that help.
100%. And I think it's so fun. I mean, there's so many things that we have to talk about, and we are going to talk about this season with the team and more about that. But I also want to talk about getting into the league for you because it was an interesting, it wasn't, you weren't drafted, you didn't get to do all of that in the way because of an injury. So can you talk about just pursuing this dream? You talk about living this dream. How did you stay so focused in your injury recovery, knowing that this was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, that was, I think, probably the most challenging thing of my life so far, that kind of that period of like a year or two. So I got injured my senior night of college. So it was like our last game. So super unfortunate because you're just like so excited, celebrate the seniors. And then that happened, which was just totally heartbreaking because I had all these plans to go into the draft to potentially be on this team the next year. So it was really just sad. I was like, I don't know. obviously no one's going to be drafting someone who basically has one leg right now. So like it was a very tricky situation, and I battled for a long time, at least in the early months of the recovery. Is it worth pushing through this? Like I have a semester left of college. I have my degree, so I potentially could just go do that.
Mhm.
And then just throughout my recovery, I realized like I think this is something I'm really going to push to try to do. If it doesn't work, then at least I know I did all I could do to try to get myself there. And so that was kind of my motivation the whole time. And it was really hard. I feel like I kind of got lucky that 2020 was like their COVID year. So they didn't really have a season. So at the same time, I didn't feel like I missed out on a whole lot, and I was able to come in with teams and be training. So that was really helpful. And then I think just getting the text and call to be invited to come try out was really exciting. I feel like it was finally like, okay, this is my moment. You did the last year and a half of all this stuff to be here, like you're ready. But it was also terrifying because that was my first practices with the team since before the injury. So that was terrifying. But it was also good to just be thrown in right away. I feel like if you're thrown in, there's less time to think of things you're afraid of or things that could go wrong. And so getting into it right away kind of erased those fears. I'm just like, okay, like you can play here, like you're fine type of thing. So it was definitely challenging. And at one point I was updating my LinkedIn. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna need to be applying to jobs or like what the deal is. But looking back, I'm so glad that I stuck with it. And I'm really proud of myself for like the perseverance that I showed, because it would have been really easy to give up. It was during COVID. I really shout out my strength coach and athletic trainer at South Carolina, because they came in when it was just one-on-one, when everyone was like home for the pandemic, and they like made me just like work so hard. And so love those guys. So it was definitely an experience. And I think I'm just so glad to be here now. And so when I'm playing, it's just like, I remember those days where it's like begging, crying to play. Like I miss it so much. And so now it's just like so exciting. Like you get to just relax now and go play. So I know that was a long answer.
No, and that's awesome. And I think then you get to play in Chicago. Like this is where you grew up, right? Or around where you grew up. So when you got that call, I mean, it's one thing to make it to the league. It's another thing to get to make it to the league surrounded by your friends and family. So
Yeah,
when you
totally.
got
And that
that
was
call,
the
were you
icing
like,
on the cake.
it was the icing on the cake?
Yeah, it was so exciting. I remember just telling my mom, and then officially when they had asked me to sign, I called my mom and I was like, finally, like it was worth it. It happened. Like I'm so excited. So to be here with them was, yeah, it's amazing.
I love that. So you're entering your fourth season. There was a lot of change, a lot of positive change for you guys. You're taking the momentum. What do you think, from what you've seen from this team so far, what do you think is special about your group that could position you to have the season that you guys want to have?
Yeah, I think right now we have really great depth. I think we have people in so many positions that could be ready to go out onto the field. And I think that makes our trainings that much more competitive every week. People are going in and trying to get that spot. And so I think that's a big difference, because I feel like previously it was like lineups have been pretty set. And so this year to be able to fight for positions, and it's a new coaching staff, so they're like really just like, you don't know what they value or what they're going to want to see. So everyone giving that effort every day, I think, has pushed us to just train harder and like then be ready for the game when it's that intense as well.
And what's it like to play alongside? I mean, four of your teammates were just called up for various national teams. What is it like to have that level of play kind of every single day? That does it bring everyone else up? Because obviously you guys are all the team, the national team roster unfortunately is so small. Right? So it's like the level is there, but what is it like to have these players with you every single day?
Yeah. For me, especially having Alyssa being a defender, Alyssa behind you is just so you feel so secure hearing the things she says and knowing that every time she's going to be giving 110%. So it's very comforting in those situations. And
Mhm.
then, I mean, playing with like Mal, Julia, Natu, like, I think also each national team brings very different things to the field. And so being able to experience like the Brazilian and like Mallory and then like Natu. So it's like a lot of different perspective too. So it's so fun to be able to play with different people that come from different places because soccer is just so different everywhere. And I think that gives a really good perspective for us too, because you're also training against a lot of different things every day. And so being playing against people that are like legit top notch, like from different places it's really cool and also very hard. I mean, it's worth it though. It's exciting when Mal's dribbling at you, but it's also like, dang, that's Mal.
100%. And the talent is there and it's growing, right? With these expansion teams coming in. I have to say I'm biased, and here in Boston, we're getting a team in a few years, or team back, I should say, in a few years. But as the league is growing, what is it like from your perspective, to see the game grow, to see the support grow, to see women's sports in general continue to grow?
Yeah, I feel like especially right now coming off like the March Madness women's basketball, it's really hyping everything up, which is so exciting. And so being able to like add all these teams where there are basically environments that want these teams to thrive and want to have fans and like people want to support and watch is really cool. And also from our perspective, going to all these different places, different environments is super cool. And them having packed stadiums, like it's just so cool to finally see because I feel like growing up, I mean, I watched games when they were like at a college field and like it was just so different. So being able to be in like these insanely huge packed stadiums is it's really crazy, honestly. It's so cool, but like very exciting. And I think having these expansion teams coming kind of year after year is also just it's allowing more people to play also, which I think is also exciting because more people can have that dream of like there are a bunch of places you can go play and to continue to like kind of grow the game.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite city to play in?
Mm. Last year we spent a good amount of time in DC and I really loved it. I feel like I'm very biased to the East Coast,
Mhm.
Midwest East Coast, so I like staying on the East side. Anywhere over there is fun.
That's great. When you guys travel, do you guys have any opportunity to like do anything outside of it? Or like, what does for people who don't know what a trip looks like, what does it look like?
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're traveling, kind of
Mhm.
how many days you go there before the game. Um, A lot of the time, the most things I feel like people see are coffee shops, small restaurants around where we go travel. Just because it's not like we're not like really driving or Ubering
Yeah.
places. I feel like once we get places, everyone's pretty chill and just like relaxing. So and that's why DC was so great. We were there for almost a week last year. And so we actually had time to go out and walk around and like kind of experience everything. So yeah, I'd say it's a lot. It's pretty chill. I feel like people aren't doing as much as or yeah, as much as you would think, or maybe they are. I don't know.
You got to stay locked in. It's like you're there for a reason, right? Like it's like it's a work trip, right? For all intents and
Totally.
purposes, it's a work trip.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I also want to ask, because this was really exciting news this week, you guys will be playing at Wrigley Field in June. When you heard that, as someone from Chicago area, what was that like?
It's insane because I mean I've never heard no one's ever done like played there before like a women's soccer game. So I think it's just like groundbreaking and I think everyone is so excited and even like I have a bunch of family and friends reaching out and even girls on the team with family out of town. Like everyone is so excited about it and I think given the location, one, it's like historic, iconic, very cool place to be, but also location wise, I feel like it's going to draw people in who probably wouldn't have come out to Bridgeview to watch, and maybe it'll be their first time and they'll be like, this is sick, like we should make the effort to go out. So I'm hoping like that's kind of people will come see us and be like, oh, they're sick, like they can play, like let's go support them. But also being in that stadium, I mean, like it's just going to be so cool.
I feel like if someone just goes to a game, they're sold. Like they just need to see it and like experience it. And then you're just like, I'm in. I don't need anyone to tell me anything different.
Right. I'm just like, just please come. Just please come once and you'll like it.
That's awesome. Okay, so we know and we love you for soccer, right? You're a phenomenal player. What do people don't know about you off the pitch that they should?
That's so crazy because I feel like at least around my teammates and like in this environment, I'm an open book. Like I'm very there's not much that I feel like they don't get. People off the field. Um, I love they probably know this. I love joking around, having a good time. Like on the field, very serious. Off the field, I feel like I'm very sparkles and rainbows,
Yeah.
like to just go with the flow, like have a good time, joke around. So I feel like that's, and then on the field, I feel like I'm just very intense and like it's a 180, which I think is funny that people probably don't get to see the like super goofy, like
Mhm.
fun side, which is fine. But I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. I feel like most people know that I'm obsessed with my cats, so they probably assume that I'm doing that outside of practice anyway. I love spending time with my family, which is you probably would know too, but I think I have three younger sisters, so anytime being around here, being able to see them is like kind of a go-to thing. Yeah, I feel like that would be it.
So the 180 that happens from like the goofy, lighthearted, sparkly kind of personality to like locked, focused, fierce. When does that happen? When does that shift happen and what happens to make it switch?
Hmm. I feel like as soon as we're walking out onto the field is where I like to just kind of calm myself again, because in the locker room I still like to have a good time before and like really get kind of the nerves out, make everyone feel comfortable, like get ready to go do this. And then on the field it's like I know I need to focus on my touch. I know I need to focus on my breathing before, or like getting good crosses in. So I think it's just like a shift of focus where I'm like, now I need to focus on this group of things for the next hour and a half and then go back to being silly and think about whatever after.
Are you a superstitious person? Do you have to do anything? Are there any like rituals before games? No.
No, literally nothing. Like it could be a completely different day. I think there are some things I do every day, like always have coffee, journal, but that's just like an everyday thing. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, just kind of go with it. I feel like at this point, I used to be more like, oh, I wore this sports bra in this
Yeah.
game and I did well, so I want to wear it again. And I feel like there was a point of that in college, and then eventually after I was just like, it's gonna happen how it's gonna happen. So I don't think how you put your socks on is gonna change it. So that was kind of where I'm at right now.
Don't tell someone though who puts their left sock on and then their right sock
I
on that it
know.
doesn't work because if
I
they
won't
believe
mess
it.
with their juju, but I'll just be watching and be like, good luck, girl.
Yeah. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm curious as you grew in the sport, you like figured out, you stayed determined through that rehab time of injury. You've been on the team for 4 years. You found all this success. Where did the love of the game begin?
Hmm. I like to think that the reason I love soccer and have for so long is because I'm a big relationship builder within my teammates. And I think the friendships that I've made, even from my first teams, like they're girls I can still talk to now. And so for me, going to soccer practice was always a place like to be with my best friends where we get to like be super competitive and like mess with each other and like work super hard and then go like hang out afterwards. So it was a big just like basically relationship thing for me. Like I just really enjoy being a part of a group like that like you always know has your back. And I feel like that's where I feel a lot of security. And so always going to practice, I just loved it. Like it felt like a safe, good place to be with like your best friends.
Mhm.
And then just growing up, I feel like you meet so many different people. And then being on the field, you just get to play. And I feel like that's your only responsibility. So being out there is just like, it's just a nice feeling to be able to like, this is what you get to do right now and nothing else matters. So that's like, I feel like what has just continued to grow where I'm like, I just feel really lucky that like this is my job and I just get to go out there and play soccer and like, then that's it. Then I go home and play with my cats. So like, I do feel like that whole perspective of the game, just like the relationships you build, kind of you get to choose like your work rate and like what you give into it. And I really enjoy those parts of the game.
It's like there is so much pressure that comes with it, but it sounds like what you're describing is like this weightless feeling of like, this is, I'm just here. I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And there definitely, would like to, there is a lot of pressure. I feel like, at least I felt the last year and then going into this year, like it just seems like there's more fans, people expect more of you. You want to keep performing how you've been performing. But I think this year has definitely been a mindset change of like, this is just what you get to do. Like realistically, everyone commenting on the side or they don't really know you. They don't know what's going on the field. They don't know the environment or like the different perspectives that you're seeing. So letting go of that has also been really nice to just feel like you get to just go out there and be yourself and play soccer. So that has been nice.
How did you get there? What happened? Was it journaling? Was it mindset work? Like how did you get from last season like mindset to today?
Yeah, it's definitely been journaling has been key. I feel like just getting out all your feelings in a space that it just like is always safe, that you can say whatever you want. Also just realizing I feel like I allowed myself to think that I was only a soccer player and like however I performed in practice or in a game, like really I would take it home with me and be like, you're like not like worthless, but like your worth is dependent on how you play at soccer. And I think it really put me in a kind of a dark space for a little bit until I realized like you are so much more than this hour on the field that you go do. Like it is your job and like it's what I care about like the most, I feel like, but it also is your job. Like
Mhm.
you have a life outside. And so realizing that and like kind of allowing myself to go home and have a life and not talk about soccer, think about soccer while still obviously like recovering, preparing, but like not
Right.
always being in that like strict mindset of like you were bad at practice today. Like you have to go sit on the couch all day,
Yeah.
like
Like go to
type of
timeout.
thing.
Go to timeout.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so you don't have to punish yourself if you have a bad day. Like that's okay. You can't also realizing like it's almost impossible, especially I just feel like for women athletes to show up every day and be the exact same and be able to perform the exact same. And so allowing myself that grace of kind of like you can make mistakes. You're going to have days where like it's not going to feel like you played well or you didn't get stuff out of it. But as long as you get a small thing out of it or you know you ran as hard as you can, like then that's what you got out of today. And like that was a really good realization because like just breaking it up into that just is easier to handle, I feel like.
Yeah, I think there's two really big takeaways there. And I think one thing that so many female athletes, I'm sure athletes in general, but what I hear from these conversations is finding the identity outside of the sport and being so proud of who you are in the sport, but recognizing that there's so much beyond that. And the second thing there is like it's okay to be human, and like that's like the beauty of sport. We see like these heartbreaking losses and like overtimes and things like that, and like yeah, it's heartbreaking with you when you lose, but isn't that why we play it, why we do it? Like that's, you wouldn't do
Right.
it if there was nothing at stake. I would
Exactly.
imagine.
And no, for sure. And I feel like it's those moments suck when you just like don't win or get what you wanted out of it, but it's like then it makes the next time you win or you do it right just like that much better. And you're like, I knew I could do it. Like,
Mhm.
so it just like, I feel like that's just like confidence building, also allowing yourself to do that.
Absolutely. So, do you have a mantra on those days where it's not perfect, where you're hard on yourself or whatever, that you tell yourself to kind of snap back into this mindset of like, I get to do this. My worth is not attached to it. Is there a mantra?
Um, I don't know if it's a mantra, but I have this new journal I got has just been like when you feel like you're kind of down in these situations, quickly think of 10 things you're grateful for. And so I think that's been really great for me because it can be small things like I'm grateful for when I have a clean pass, like I'm grateful for when I get the ball up the field, like just small things. And it can be like I'm grateful the sun is out today and it's not like raining. And
Mhm.
so those things kind of calm me down and remind me like it's okay, like you can do it. And I think since I feel like I remember since high school, a lot of the time when I'm in those moments, it's like just be simple. That's kind of what I tell myself. Like you can do the simple things and then you can build. But right now, like just do the simple things, make the simple pass. And then just like once you start growing or feeling more confident, then you can start just like trying more things.
I like that. That's a good one. And I think there's so many things on those bad days, right, that you do right, but you only focus on the one thing like you did wrong. It's like, no, I played well up until that
Totally.
one pass, and then that's all you carry with you.
Yeah,
So
totally. And that I see that all the time too, because I'll leave a game and I'm like, dang, like I feel like I gave the ball away so much. And I go back and watch film and I was like, you touched the ball 80 times and you messed up like 5 times. That's okay.
yeah,
Like
like
it's like the
statistically, that's pretty
five
good.
times. Right. And like it's like impossible to be like 100% success on everything, every type of like category in the field. So it's like, yeah, just kind of control what you can control and like keep going.
And as you said, the level in the league is growing and getting better. So it's like your mistake against, like it's not like you're playing against bad people. Like
Right.
you're playing against really
Totally.
good people.
Yeah. And like I feel like that was a funny perspective last game we were at Orlando. And just anytime I feel like being on the field with Marta, you're just like, wow, like that's crazy. I know I got one tackle on her and I think I watched the clip like 5 times, like, yes, like so good. I
You
was
just
like,
need
that
that
was
like as like a meme on your phone, and just like every time you're like, I did something bad. You're like, no, I did something good.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Like
Well,
you did that, so you can do it again.
that's amazing. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and I so appreciate you taking the time to chat. For people who want to come to Wrigley Field and watch you guys play, want to keep up with everything you've got going on, where can they follow you on social and the team?
Follow me at Tatumn Milazzo on Instagram, at Chicago Red Stars, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I think that's all the places.
The TikTok. Are you a TikTok girl?
I I am a scroller on TikTok. Yes, I feel like I've participated in a couple trends, but I feel like old. Like I have to text my sister like, how do I edit a video?
Yeah.
How do I put pictures into a video? So it's kind of slowed down. I'm like, I just don't even want to try it right now. So I'm just a watcher right now.
That's good. That everyone has their role. It takes all
Yeah,
kinds of
right.
kind.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
thank you so much and good luck the rest of the season. We're rooting for you.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you.